Good evening and welcome, Free Enterprise fans. My name is Dathis Wars, my vanilla Tamar, and I am joined by Zoe. There is an invisible L in my name. Trust me, it's there, Vermilion. How's it going tonight, Zoe?
Tathis, you're the salt of the earth.
Thanks.
I meant scum of the earth.
Thanks.
Hey, I can't even say anything else. These are some objectives we got here. Two free bosses for our two objectives that vary between these seeds. Both happen to have the same sprite. So you see that blue guard sprite. That's going to be value.
Yeah, and we also have ourselves a Tela to start with. So this is, when you go up for deals, you get yourself some nice free bosses, 100% between AoE Stone, between Stop, between Weak. You can do whatever you want with these, and it's kind of great. Although we did also get a little peek at Saradin's names. I am super here for that Final Fantasy XIV naming convention. I saw Soken. Man is really doing great work behind Uematsu.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Huge fan of FF14. Huge fan of Saradin's names. Might be pandering, maybe knows that people in the booth tonight both play 14. Not sure. We'll find out. But we should talk about these racers. We've got BadKarma and Saradin both sitting at 2-2. This is an elimination match here in week 5 of the Lali-Ho League. Whoever wins this race gets to go on to one final race, a win, and you're in next week to get to 4-2. The loser today gets to watch the rest of the tournament. So a lot on the line here. BadKarma got the very first bye of this tournament and has gone 1-2 since. Saradin, I don't know the exact order of his losses. Very, very strong runner. I had to play Saradin. I feel like I stole a win from him. And so BadKarma is going to need to play his Aromas off if he wants to live to see another week.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're giving the praise of Saradin to that means it just shows to the caliber of runner that not only you, but he is, that you feel like you stole a win from him. But I always am excited to see what we're going to have paired with this Tela here. He makes the early game very free, opens up a whole different slew of ways that you can even loot too. That exit spell, such chef kiss. I love going and looting as far into Watery Pass as possible. I'll go do back of Hobbs. Depending on what bosses, we could even see a cheeky Mist Cave loot. But we do have the runners off. We're going to see who he's paired with.
Yeah, and if things go as they should with us in the booth, I expect there to be value in Baron in and value behind the package.
Oh, absolutely. So we have Odin leaving his throne, giving a magma key. The underground is completely our oyster. And we have the old man teaching the young kid how to cast all the spells except the two important ones, Nuke and Quack.
Yeah, this early magma key is very, very good. Gives our runners instant access to the underground. Don't have to worry about any sort of nasty hook route. Plus, with this Tela in the party, opens up a few more interesting looting options. You can loot the towers in Dwarf Castle. You can exit out of Dwarf. Those are weighted slightly better than something like Antlion Cave. So if you wanted to maybe eliminate some of your normal overworld routing in favor of that, I know I've been able to do that with a Magma Key start if I have a quick way out. And then also you can do the optimal looting strategy in Feymarch and loot the bottom 4 chests first and then exit out after you maybe peek the bosses.
Absolutely. And no, you are not seeing the icons doubled over the side. They are both going and heading straight underground. I was going to say, hey, maybe we'll see a little bit of divergence and have some overworld looting before underground. No, as we always like to say, check your objectives, check your freebies, and then check everything else. And they are taking full advantage of that, setting up, most likely going to jump right down to that Feymarch check. Probably also going to do a straight run to Sylph Cave just to set up Sheila 1.
I fully expect that we're going to see, at the very least, the Feymarch freebie setting up Sheila 1. We might see the Dwarf Castle looting that I mentioned, but I imagine we'll see Tomra looting, maybe a Job Dwarf check. See if either of these runners is interested in validating their seed. Wow, BadKarma just getting completely denied by the NPCs as Saradin makes it over to the inn to check the shop and finds Silkwebs and Vampires. Silkwebs, very good. Puts 2 stacks of slow on the boss. You'd like to have one for Zromus, especially for reflex strats. Vampires can be, some early game damage to maybe get this Pelham online if your character on Hobbs is just nothing and you don't find any good J items.
Absolutely, and those bosses blocking the best thing out in the seed we've seen so far. Additionally, Bad Karma seeing that we have Ether 2s sitting in this spot here in Tomra, and we have a veterinarian as our character. We also, sorry, as our job dwarf check. Additionally, that's an elven bow we see there. We may not have any good items on our kid yet because we haven't quite seen the equipment, but that is a +5 to his wisdom stat, so he's going to be hitting pretty decently hard once he starts
More
getting those.
importantly, there was a charm staff in there as well, so that is even better than the elven bow for this paladin.
Absolutely, but if you want to spread like the power and the love around a little bit, so you can have Tella do a little bit extra, so you can hit some of those spells if we get them in some cheeky locations.
Yeah, that is absolutely valid. We'll need to find some arrows to stick with that bow in order to get the wisdom bonus. We see a Baigan at dwarf 1, so that's the right sprite but the wrong color.
Absolutely. So French vanilla coloring, if we want to go that far and stretch it a little bit. We also have Saradin finding the trap chest there, so everything else is free to loot. Additionally, we do have a free siren on Bad Karma's side by looting extra hard in that dwarf castle, so that's really really nice. Once we go up, get ourselves through deals, get stone or weak for Otella, and that's a free infusion of XP.
Yeah, and BadKarma just looting the underground pass between the two shop districts in Dwarf Castle and decides to leave. Looks like he's now heading over to the Fame Arch. We'll join Saradin here. I imagine he'll find that trap chest pretty early as well, and then have the rest of the loot be free. And very soon, going to see our first true key item check in the Fame Arch freebie. I'm hoping for a rat tail.
Oh, I'm absolutely looking for a little slice of vanilla here. The nice thing, though, is we've seen a couple of silent staves already. We've seen those mute arrows, so that means that Bad Karma, if he does do the full looting, will have access to the wisdom stat on that bow that you were talking about. And, oh, no, another shiny rock. That's a sand ruby. That's another character check, though, and a gated one at that.
That is pretty huge for this party. Right now, you don't really have a ton of power until you can at least clear one boss to get Palab to his level 2 spells. That Sand Ruby, though, you could find a cane to use that Gungnir spear that you've had. You could find an edge. I believe our runners have found a ninja sword and a long sword. Also a mute knife on Bad Karma's side. You could find a Fusoya, who may not come with starting spells that are particularly good, but a couple bosses down and maybe he gets something like a level 2 spell or even Virus, and really just starts to put the jets on this seed as far as efficiency in clearing bosses.
Absolutely. And speaking of a little bit of jet, if you want some more infusion of XP, that is a very free fight over in the Leviathan side. That casts spells. This magic stat there, not much to scoff at, but you're not going to get the advantage of those extremely potent physical attacks.
If I remember correctly, part of the King Queen Evelyn script is that they actually lower their spell power. So you can take that as long as you have enough HP to survive Fire 2s that are hitting you for about 70, and Fire 1s hitting you from anywhere to 20 to 30. So this Tella with a single Cure 2 potion might honestly be able to take that right now.
That is very true. Could even be utilizing his own MP, heal himself up. We do have some life potions spotted, though. That's a really big pickup, because we don't have to worry about those later. But yeah, there's what we have right now. There's a really good bit of divergence we could have going on. Saradin's like, you know what? I don't want to take this. We're gonna go. I'm gonna be setting up that Sheila 1 check. Whereas Bad Karma looks like he's gonna be checking the bosses. I'm excited to see if someone decides they want to take this fight, though.
Yeah, and our tracker, Mechalink, pointing out that you could just pop a Star Veil too if you wanted to, and just make it completely safe and free. Bad Karma going to the menu, decides to leave. I don't blame them, because this spot isn't a ton of experience, but maybe you want to come back with a third or fourth party member just to spread that experience around a bit more. But you'd know it's here, and I imagine that when our runners decide to come back underground, this will be their very first stop.
Absolutely. What I'm actually very surprised at is neither of them saved and then went and checked to see which ruby that was, because that could be Rubicante and that could be elements right there. That knowledge is kind of big as well, because if you want to cut that HP in half and do some reflect castings, which we have ourselves a Palom and we have ourselves a Tella, we can get access to that wall nice and early, may be able to take that, shred that HP in half and make good use of that fight. But no knowledge now, maybe find out later, whereas we have them kind of trading back and forth and treading path that we've already seen.
Yeah. Follow both these runners if you don't already. Both fantastic at this game. Both put on fantastic streams. You won't be disappointed. But yeah, if that spot is elements with just, getting Fire 3 on Tela for more deals, getting Fire 2 at the very least on Palom, and maybe somebody like a Cecil, maybe to do cover strats to eat the melee hits from the Mylon Z phase. Elements is a very, very manageable boss, and depending on your party comp, can be completely free. That's
a Porum, yeah.
Yeah, that's a Porum in the bed. For those that don't know, you can look at the ponytail. It is the opposite. It is on the opposite side of their dominant hand. Porum is right-handed. This ponytail is on the left. So here's a white mage for us. This is actually really good. We get access to twin magic now, which for Palom not having access to level 2 spells, struggle to beat stuff like the Antlion spot to maybe get to those level 2 spells. But twin cast allows you to get access to some good magic, and if you cast it with Porum, depending on where the Palom is in your party, it's going to use Palom's wisdom stat, which with the charm rod is probably going to do a good chunk of damage, and hit with flare on whoever's at Antlion, that might just one-shot it.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I never knew that it worked off of the dominant twin. I'm assuming whichever one is in the highest of party priority order.
So there's a lot of weird math with it. Typically, it's going to be whoever's timer has not most recently expired, and so if you queue it up with Porum, it's more likely that Palom's timer is going to come up, and Palom is going to be the one to actually execute the spell. It's a lot of complicated math, and I'm speaking from a lot of anecdotal evidence here. There's been extensive conversation in Discord about exactly how it works, and I'm still not fully on board with understanding it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this game that is either witchcraft and wizardry or held together by spit, duct tape, and a prayer. This game is still fantastic. We love it in our hearts. That's why we're here. But we do have ourselves some nice mage strats we got going on here. BadKarma says, you know what, we got that third character. Let's see if we can add a fourth. And we have another child mage with a sparkle here.
This is just Tella's babysitting adventure today, it seems like. Going to... yeah, I can see why Rydia's hesitating. That's a big spooky dragon interface. Sorry, Rydia. You can take that on your own, right?
BadKarma's just like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll come back here later for you. That's a hard maybe. I kind of agree. Starveils are a bit of a premium right now. One of the big bosses that are Blarg and use Starveils out of the way for you to know. Very, very nice to have that knowledge. So you can be like, maybe we'll come back here. Maybe we'll deal with you. If we see, say, Bahamut here, or we find him out early in the pool, that means it's just him and Golbez we got to worry about. So that kind of puts you towards the idea of maybe this could be a place we go and grab. But for right now, yeah, just Wyvern is a resource sink. You don't want to use it. You're not going to get XP on anybody aside from whoever gets that first wall up, because it's just going to be a quick little in and out.
There's a objective. We found our objective number 5 here in Antlion. Going to go ahead and stop this officer, and this will be a fairly textbook fight. For Saradin, didn't instantly reset out of that Wyvern, and I can maybe see why. Getting a Rydia early is the only time Rydia is going to really be useful in this flag set. You've already got a couple of mages, so you might be thinking Reflect strats going forward. Doesn't decide to go back in, but I did notice that one of the first chests that BadKarma looted here in the Antlion Cave was another Starveil. So maybe you decide, okay, now I have an extra. Maybe I drop it down to Wyvern Standard Time, and I go pop a Starveil and come away with a kid who can then get that free summon from just on the other side of Hobbs.
Absolutely. And you see BadKarma trying to make use of Tella's extra command, the Recall, trying to see if we can get maybe a weak, a stone, a virus early on. No, that character's not in the seed. We're not going to talk about the Crystal Sword that just showed up. Yeah, that's something you're going to love to see for a Cecil, that we have no idea if he's appearing in the seed. If not, if he's not around, you sell it and you have yourselves a whole bunch of money. I think it's 7.5 or so sirens right there. So, I mean...
Yeah, roughly about that. Or you could just throw it in the garbage and assert dominance over the seed.
I mean... Absolutely. Who needs a crystal sword anyways? Like, you're just here for mages. This is how this is going to go. But we have Saradin right hot on BadKarma's heels, using that dancing dagger, and we're going to see what other spells are coming out. Tella, I believe, again using the recall from Saradin's side, a strat that not a lot of people think about because they're like, whatever, recall, it takes a lot of MP, and yeah, it's a 15 MP cast, but you have that chance of those juicy spells such as Virus or such like that. Oh no, just using direct cast Fire one.
You can land with recall a party-wide weak spell, which is probably, if using recall
We're here
there.
for this.
Hey, kind of vanilla because it isn't alt gauntlet, but in its vanilla location, we do have the bull gauntlet. 5 fights pulled from the area around it, so this will not be the traditional 5 fights that you expect when you fight this in vanilla. That's why we say not truly vanilla. Close enough.
Look, I will take absolutely close enough vanilla in this because, hey, we get it when we can get it. Saradin's side does actually take out that officer. Is going to get more XP on his characters. We'll actually get those tier 2 spells on the Palamon and Porum, so that it will make the gauntlet fight a little bit faster when he gets there, if he gets there anytime soon. Also picks up his crystal sword, while BadKarma is going to get through the good set of fights here, and just nice little XP, especially in this weak little area.
Yeah, and while BadKarma works through this and Saradin's exiting out here, I just want to comment more on Saradin's names. I love the Alfie Ali for the twins, even though it's backwards on who's the healer and who's the damage dealer. But I also feel like naming Tella after the Crystal Exarch is doing my boy, the Crystal Exarch, a dirty, because he is too good a boy for that. I would have named Fu the Exarch.
I can kind of agree with you there, but what happens when you get into his tank mode? I mean, what would you do at that point? But look, you can't get perfect naming schemes every time, and the only other old man would be... I didn't even see who we named Fu, though.
You mean you could maybe Louis Swap?
Ah, yes, Louis Swa. Actually, yeah, I'd swap that around. I have Louis Swa as Tella and Exarch as Fu. I like that. We'll go with that.
Well, old men who die to save the planet. That sounds familiar.
No idea. I don't think I've ever seen that in another Final Fantasy.
Ever.
But yeah, we got a whole bunch of fights that some of you may or may not recognize. The imp fight, we know if you go through with the old flags to the 3 zone, because we had to do a whole lot of running around Baron. Bombs, you'll see those if you go and fight Mom Bomb, Gray, and regular bombs. However, the Cockatrice fight is one of those ones you're just like, sorry, what's going on here? Not ones used to seeing, as well as on BadKarma side, the Sword Rat and the Needlers. These are just mobs you're not used to seeing unless you play it again vanilla, or if you get a lot of really random spots for the alt gauntlet. Yeah, and as we see, the Firebomb J item that BadKarma is using is in fact the is not the Fire 2 one, but the one that is an HP based usage. So being used by about 150-ish HP character doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot of damage. But we do have our second underground access and 2 more boss checks and another character check in the hook. So that is something that's not, what you'd love to see from here, but it also gives access to that pink tail. So pretty decent find here in Fabul. And we're also getting a check of what Sheila 1 has, which gives just an Artemis bow. I say just, but the only character that can make good use of that right now is in fact the White Mage twin. So fantastic find if we say see a Rosa somewhere, but for what we've got right now, great for agility manipulation.
Absolutely. But this seed so far being fairly generous with relatively low effort character checks that hook. Another gated character check, another chance at Fu, Edge, or maybe even a Cecil to use that crystal sword. And you have Tella, so you can exit out very easily after you dive through. Plus another gated shop to look for sirens or your other high tier J items. But I wanted to just double back very quickly to the Firebomb because I know when I was first learning this game, the Firebomb and Big Bomb distinction definitely threw me for a loop more than once, and I finally found a good mnemonic for it. And if you hadn't realized it before, you're welcome. But the items that use the HP values of your characters all have the element in their name. Firebomb, Lit Bolt, Blizzard.
Huh. I actually didn't know that, but as soon as you were saying, like, wait, hold on, you're absolutely right. which is very interesting. Yeah, because I don't know what the translation for some of the items are specifically, but we also see that Saradin's fighting the second hardest boss outside of the NPCs that he fought earlier, the inventory boss, dreaded by the fact that we don't have a whole lot of characters, so we don't know what items to keep or what to throw away. So we keep everything right now.
Yep. And BadKarma, finding Asira taking a shower there in Waterfall, decides to leave her be and is going to go check the Mist Cave to see if he can pull a sneaky. Well, there's a vanilla D, but not Mist. It's just D Knight.
Look, he's on his way to burn down Mist Village, okay? Just don't get in his way.
Yeah, he's already taken out the D Mist, and you come across him. We're just interfering with the vanilla storyline at this point. Like the football gauntlet's there, waiting for him. Like, we're just being rude.
Absolutely. This is a guy who took his time, got himself a little bit of extra levels, looted everywhere. So it takes him about the 18 minutes to get through that Mist Cave, especially if you want to grind out an early summon to get Furidia when you can get from there. Because those J drops, nice to find.
All right, BadKarma is deciding to go here into Cave Eblin. Going to take a couple of chests here. Finds another Charm Rod. You don't hate that. Plus 10 Wiz is the second best Black Mage weapon in the game behind the Stardust Rod. Going to give us a shop check here. Coffins, when you know that there's a free boss objective, grabbing at least 2 of them is good. Looks like he's grabbing a few more. I wonder if he's going to keep looting, because you don't want to maybe reset out of the trap chest and lose your shopping time, but you're leaving a lot of loot on the table.
What he could also be doing is he could just run straight for the character, see who it is, save there and exit out right there, and then loot backwards out. Depends on how much you want to do. As you said, this is an area that can have some high tier loot. So this is a spot you kind of want to check. There's one trap chest. It is key item hard gated, and it's kind of a lonely-ish out of the way area for the algorithm. So this is where we're going to see a lot more of like the tier 5, tier 6 items with a lesser impact on the T3s.
Absolutely. And then if we had found hourglasses, maybe you want to take the Stone Man chest. But hey, look, do you want another child? Our second Palom, our 4th child overall, and a Maga Sisters there at the Ruby spot. So you know that you don't have to go that far. But then there's the King Queen spot, which you don't know until you dive it. So could be a very sneaky guards location. But I imagine that at this point, nowadays runners is gonna to check that. That'd be a huge gamble to pull this early.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's you just go, you can hit that save and then just run right in is the boss here. Yeah, it takes about, say, a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes if you skip all the treasure to go check that boss. But that is a huge peace of mind that you have right there too. It's like, okay, let's see what's happening. Is this a boss? Because it could be either, again, like you said, the opposite, the guards fight, or we could have a cheeky B-Mist hiding there, guarding possibly a huge chain towards finding the rest of our key items.
Very true. If that hook had come from somewhere that you had already gambled on, say you did grab an early Baymarch boss that you maybe shouldn't have and you pulled a hook, I could definitely see the argument for pushing just to see if you could sneak a bit more advantage out of getting it. But right now, I completely agree with just leaving and come back if you have to. Hopefully you don't have to. But BadKarma deciding, I have that Siren, I'm going to go ahead and pop it. Let's get some experience on these kids, get up to Quake on at least one of my Paloms. But yeah, Crystal Sword, that was a Cecil in the Baron Inn.
Absolutely. And there's the simple fact of like, you see that, you see a Valvalis, not what you want to see there. I could pull up a lovely handy dandy chart, but I'm pretty sure that is magic, not immune, but as close to immune as you're going to get. Porum could shoot through that with the bow.
I think that spot is actually 255 magic evade. So you would have to maybe pop on that Artemis bow and get through it. It's not a lot of HP, but she's very hard to take out if you don't have melee attackers.
All right, so let's take a quick look here at the lovely chart that a great person of teaching in this community is from, Invenerable. Guard slot, script magic defense, 255. Yeah, you don't do that. The defense there is actually not bad. You could take that fight and you could punch through that no problem, to be honest. However, Saradin decides, you know what? No, we're going to get ourselves powered up Fu. BadKarma, though, I'm so here for this. Get through this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're going to fire it off. Yep, not going to get it off beforehand. Val goes into the tornado form very, very quickly. Twins also not going to do it. Yeah, takes the reset.
Yeah, again, with the access of the Artemis bow, Porum can just straight up walk in there and hit it and be like, no, this is what's happening now. But is instead changing around his party order, maybe, and gonna see what he can do. I hope he remembers that Artemis bow, kind of scrolling past it. But again, it's stuff you don't think about, because when you think Palom and Porum, you don't think, hey, let me shoot with bow. Never mind.
So I was actually going to propose this, and I think this might work. I'm unsure about Val's script. Set the battle speed down, put the Artemis bow on Palom. You may be able to get a virus off because you'll be at RA1, and the cast delay on virus is 0. So even with the nerf to your wisdom stat, that virus should still be hitting for probably 400 to 500, which should be enough to take out this spot.
Looks like he's just going to go straight on Burr, because he's going to give himself his other Burr character. But we have seen on Saradin's side 2 of the 3 bosses that are up here on reveals. You have a Bahamut, which he got through with casting Wall on his characters through Starveil, and now he has the least mage-friendly boss out there. We have CPU. This is in a really bad spot, because it's just like, this is gonna take a hot minute to get through. Make sure you take out that Defender Orb, and then you just keep throwing out those dancing daggers.
Yeah, BadKarma, when he gets over here to Ordeals, is gonna have a pretty friendly time, because a Quake and maybe just a Dancing Dagger should be enough to take out the main body here. But I would argue and say that the boss we see on the left-hand side is probably more mage unfriendly than CPU.
This is true. There are some ways around it. Oh, we have a Grimoire toss. We have Sylph. Which one is that going to land on? It lands on the CPU, too. That is a really good roll to see here, to be completely honest. Free virus cast and a free heal.
Yeah, that is huge. Would have preferred to see something like a Bahamut pulled from there, but you won't say no to a Sylph hitting on the right target. Someone in chat pointing out that on BadKarma side, we may have the arrows in the wrong hand. Do you want to explain what that actually means?
Absolutely. So when we go through the character equip screen, you'll see that every character has an R hand or L hand, or in the case of Edge and Yang, where I think it's ambidextrous. I can't remember what it is in this translation. What it does is, if you put the arrows, for example, in the hand that is not the R hand or the L hand, it puts it in the wrong hand. You actually have half, I think, the attack power of what you could have, and you also have less accuracy. So we see the misses on BadKarma's side, because we have, again, like one of the best bows and some really great arrows in these mute arrows, but not really making full advantage of it because they are set and equipped wrong. It's the same thing as if you go to start writing with your left hand and you're right-handed. It's not going to be anything you're going to write home about.
Yeah, for Palom, you want to have those arrows in the left hand, the bow in the right hand, because he is left-handed. Saradin, finding some huge value here at the top over deals, is going to have a pan to be able to go bonk Yang, get a key item there, and get a key item from turning it in to Sheila 2, or rather, a chance at key items. Those are key item checks. Ogopogo here, not the worst place to see him. He does counter black magic with a HP-based blaze spell, unless you hit him with lightning, in which case he hits with weak, which I forgot until that happened.
And hey, we're gonna get a good show of it right now. But yeah, you don't get the powerful spells from Tella till after this fight, so this isn't what you exactly want to see. However, this is still a fight that's not going to take a whole bit. Whereas, speaking of getting through fights, we do have BadKarma getting through slowly but surely. No, that's not a fun fight either.
Okay, so this is bad. This spot here is very slow, but incredibly punchy. And Evil Wall tends to not care how slow the location is. You're going to want to try and get off Quake as quickly as possible. 2 Quakes should do this, but this Evil Wall is going to punch and, well, not quite one-shot your form. So you're probably fine, because you took that Siren to get to Quake. Without doing that, you would be in for a bad time here.
Yeah, that early infusion of XP, absolutely gigantic for each party. You need to see this. A nice thing to do additionally would be to see Tella maybe throw up some walls, or it's not some walls, some blinks, if you want to go that way. But an additional thing, so we see that Evil Wall counters magic with the Petrify spell. However, Twin is not technically a spell, even though it casts magic. So it does not eat the counter spell there. But 2 Quakes, a Twin, we get ourselves a Cecil. He has a Rune Axe to come with when he transforms. We're going to say, no, sorry, buddy. We have a much better present for you. Go burr, friend. Whereas we have Saradin gets through the boss up there, was also rewarded with a pan. So going to be checking in, going right to 2 key item checks right here.
Kind of slightly unfortunate news is BadKarma does still have to go through that CPU, which would be way easier if you had access to the Crystal Sword. Unfortunately, it's en route to getting that access, but it does have access to Quake, so it shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Saradin, though, opting to follow the mantra, do your freebies, do what's required. Pan leads to effectively 2 freebies, so might as well see if we can get something else here. Whereas BadKarma now, with a Cecil in hand, with a Tella, with a Crystal Sword for that Cecil, says, let's go to Ordeals, let's go burr, and there's a Twin Harp.
Absolutely. So we do have a little bit of requirement possibly here on Ordeals, which is very nice to see. Pan, in fact, does pan out. But additionally, with BadKarma having not just the 1 Palom, he has the pair of them. So double Quake going to be making extremely short work. I'd almost be very tempted to just Quake and forget sort of thing at that spot.
Yeah, only has Quake on the 1 Quake kid. The other one's sitting at level 22. Didn't quite get enough to get there from the 1 Siren because it was a fresh Palom. But if you can hit a Quake and then fade the Globe 199 from taking out, that same Palom, you can get off another Quake the next turn. Or if you do have any amount of damage to take off the remaining probably couple hundred HP in the case that Quake doesn't kill. Though with a Charm Rod, I think the Quake may actually just take out that spot.
Indeed. And we do get our second half of the Sheila check. Does give you with a pass. So that is something you're kind of happy to see. And you will absolutely walk out. Whether we have quick access or not, that's going to be good for Zeromus if we find Go mode on the overworld. And as we're talking about it, that other Palom does have Quake, so now you really can just have them both set for Quake and forget it. And you're going to have yourselves a shiny new Paladin.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple Quakes here, you'll be good to go, and then Diogo Pogo will go down to a single virus. Yeah, that pan, huge value. You get an objective in the form of the Twin Harp, and you get Pass, which is the fast way to Zeromus. Saradin coming back down here to Dwarf. You may be wondering why he's not going straight to Cave Magnes, because it is an objective. Cave Magnes location has a whole bunch of magic defense. Very hard to take down that spot if you're relying on spells. So probably going to wait until he has a melee character in the party or a quick way through that. Whereas BadKarma, going to have access to the Crystal Sword Cecil, will probably be taking that harp as soon as he gets it. It's only a short fly away from the Sheila 2 turn in where he'll get his pass.
Absolutely. And this is where some decisions can kind of really influence how the rest of this path is going. We haven't seen Saradin go and check the fact that you got an extra Palom just sitting and waiting for you in the underground. Hasn't gone and said, maybe I can get through this fight here of the Valvalis into the Evil Wall, which in reality, those are some kind of scary fights. Like we saw, yeah, it's got about 4-ish KHP there. If you've got a Quake Palom, you're kind of laughing, but if you don't have that setup, you're kind of looking at that going, that's a scary set of bosses there, even with the extra levels. But Saradin takes that Baigan, shows that it is a punchy spot because it takes the stats from not just the Calabrina dolls themselves, which have very poor stats. It goes for the Calcabrina, the big doll, and that one hits for this level, hits like a Mack truck, to be completely honest.
Oh, it absolutely does. And right now, really, we're seeing a lot of difference from something that is, we would consider a fairly innocuous piece of information. The free Siren that was next to the Dwarf item shop. That is where BadKarma was able to get his Paloms up to Quake, and is really what's allowed him to kind of speed through this Ordeals and now have access to the Cecil. I don't believe Saradin pulled that pot, doesn't know that there's a Siren there, and that could be a difference that starts to snowball now that Karma has
So
a that goes burr.
yeah, so if you actually looked at his inventory while he was looking around for that Artemis bow to toss onto that Porum, he does in fact have himself that Siren. So he could go down underground right now, cast Weak, and then just burst some quick easy XP onto that onto one of those kids or onto the kids and get them some bonus levels, get them some like strength, get them some additional attack multipliers. But does remember this underground and looks like he's going to go find himself that extra Palom, which having a Siren, having 2 Paloms, that would lead me down to getting that spell cast down real quick.
And as always, I say a lot of words for ultimately no payoff because he does have that Siren. But maybe this second Palom hero will jog his memory that, oh yeah, I do have a Siren. I should go get Quake. BadKarma now going to go down, get his Twin Harp from the Sylphs after bonking Yang on the head, saying, hey, wife wants you to come home. She didn't give me this pan. I found it on top of a mountain, but it says Sheila on the back. It's got like those label makers. They've had some problems with the King of the Bull coming over and borrowing their stuff, so they had to label things. Yeah, go home.
But you see, you keep talking, and then he just loses. You keep talking, you have all these problems. Here's the world's smallest violin in the form of some whisper weed for you to play and tell me all your troubles. But yeah, we see both runners picking up things that the other one has. We have double twins. We have twin harp. We're just twinning right now. Absolutely what you love to see. And BadKarma kind of has the power where he can just go, you know what, maybe we'll get and check ourselves some music, which looks like he's heading towards right after he goes and does Fabul, because this is just a nice little like one side-by-side little locations here.
Bathis, I don't think that Saradin's level 80 yet. I don't think he can run the twinning.
Then he's missing out on some absolutely fantastic music. Probably my second favorite music in the entirety of that expansion.
I'm partial to the music in Bosnia, but I spend a lot of time there.
Can we just talk about the boss music that's out there? Really, seriously. I could listen to that for hours and be fine. Not in Bosnia, just like the actual Shadowbringers boss music. So
yeah,
good.
Shadowbringers boss music is Shadowbringers best expansion. There's no debate, and I don't think anyone's ever arguing that fact. But Saradin now, going back to the Fey March, now has 4 members in his party, probably says, yeah, let's go do that King Queen Neblin now.
Absolutely. And we keep talking a whole lot about different executions and different strategies, and this person go here and do this. The big thing is these runners are making the best choices for them with the information that they have. We have a nice little like overlord kind of things where Ver and I kind of can just sit here and just like, haha, these are the best decisions to make. Whereas we have the knowledge of this is where this is where that is, and we can do this kind of thing. But the runners are like, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this. And especially in a do or die race, nerves and just kind of like oh, a little bit of panic can set in and make some decisions you think, oh well, this is a more obvious decision, why wouldn't you do that, to doing it at the time is very different. As someone who's been in a very stressful race of say the Hook 2 from the Threema zone, your decision making can go from this is the right decision to this is the wrong decision literally at the drop of a hat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the great things about us as commentators also being players is a lot of what we talk about is our own personal like routing biases. So when we say like, oh, we would do this, that doesn't mean it's the right choice. It just means that that's what we'd be comfortable with, and these runners may do something completely different. BadKarma, as I had predicted, what I would have done here. You've got that crystal sword, you've got that twin harp, you're right there in Kroya. Let's just take a hop over. Let's go take this out. See if it leads to the pink tail, so making this hard required, or even something like an earth crystal to get you another key item check, maybe some more character checks if you feel that you want something different in the party.
Also, can we talk about that mighty 3 damage on Saradin's side from the King Queen Eblin? Man, that's a super. We need to talk more about the stats over there. There's nothing going on BadKarma's side that we need to let go happen.
We should just keep talking about the amount of damage that's coming out over here. This King Queen Eblin fight is really stressful. We're not sure if he's going to get through it, and I'm feeling someone yanking at my collar, and I'm going to.
While we had BadKarma serenade us through his inventory check, we do have ourselves a Mylon Zed on the left side, which is going to be very quick for Machine of Cecil. He can cast a Berserk on it. Still going to find the bad news that they may have themselves the stats of other enemies, but that Mylon is going to take no damage from that Quake. However, the more important thing we see on Saradin's side is the fact that we have ourselves a Legend Sword. King Queen Eblin super paying out with half of the key items, so you have two different halves of two different objectives.
Yeah, absolutely, but I'm still stuck on the fact that you called that Mylon Zed. That's Mylon and Friends, but I'll forgive you because you did say Zed. But yeah, absolutely. King Queen giving value. It's a free boss. You want to take that anyway, and you get paid off for it. BadKarma. Yeah, Quake's not going to do much here. You want this the Cecil zerked up. Did fortunately remember to change his battle speed back to 1, so he can get this taken down. Few more swings here, even if he accidentally takes down Mylon first, and the ghouls get very punchy. I suspect he'll make it through this without much of an issue.
Absolutely. With the fact that those ghouls are going to go down to a single hit, we see quad 9s everywhere. It's not a bad thing. We also actually saw BadKarma almost do the back row bit, backwards, with the fact that he put the bow in the dominant hand, which is where you want to have it in the non-dominant hand. But we do have Mylon go down. No Oh My Body skip, but that is a casual 13 levels on Cecil. Also note, that was a base level Cecil popping that 1300 damage with Berserk, by the way.
And quad 9s on the undead. A level 1 Cecil is doing quad 9 damage. That is the power of hitting for both an elemental and a
baby.
Racial weakness. There's the other half of Forge. This is a hard required harp, so hard required ordeals. Not like our runners weren't going to be doing it anyway. But now, if BadKarma goes back to that Queen Eblin, he'll get the other half of that and have access to Objective 2. So we know, as commentators, where Objective 2 is and that it is going to be done. And now it's a matter of, where does BadKarma go next? You've got a Burr sword. You've got a couple Quake kids. Do you do Dwarf here? You don't know what's there. You don't know what the second boss is. I don't think BadKarma's even peaked the first boss. So that's a character check, 2 bosses, and a key item.
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like he did check the boss, but that's just me. I could be wrong. But you know what? Hear me out. You saying, where does he go now? If you're in a do or die situation, you don't go to a place where you're like, oh, this is easy and this is out of the way. You make a gamble. You go to yourselves, you do top a tower. Either hope for a vanilla tower key, maybe even a boss, or you just do it because your opponent's not going to do it. You really want to route the tower check in when you have the tower key. Could pay off in spades here. But looks like we're going to have both our runners do a little bit of a high five in this wagon.
Reading from the textbook of Zoe routing, keyless tower is absolutely what I would do here. I mentioned it during my interview of my last race, but doing keyless tower, if you exclude travel time to get back with a tower key, you're only losing 1 minute and 10 seconds to walk back up to the bridge and walk back out, which is what you'll have to do twice. Especially with this party, you can do that spot, and you know your opponent's going to be doing Dwarf. Maybe see if you can go to the top of the tower. Maybe it is a vanilla tower key, and your opponent puts it off, ad infinitum. Or maybe it's your pink tail, or maybe there's a cheeky guards up there. There's a lot of value that can be had, especially if you're feeling like maybe you're at a disadvantage. This is also a do or die race, and that could come down to who plays it too safely and who makes those gambles.
Agreed. And as we see, BadKarma does find out the bad news that those kids, not long for the world, gonna get booped down real quickly. Could get them back up with life and let Cecil do some work with cover strats, really great here. He won't be taking a whole lot of damage to the back row, but we do have the other half of the power couple as well as an Octomom here. That's a character I would snap pick up, even though Saradin automatically did because he's still missing a spot. This is actually a spot where you go, no, I will take that. She is straight up just better than Porum because of the fact, minus exit, because of the simple fact she learns spells faster, her HP growth is better, and you're still early enough in the seed where the levels aren't going to make a difference, or aren't going to make as much of a difference as you think.
Yeah, and she can make use of that Artemis spell better than Porum can by having access to the aim command, going to set her accuracy to 255 and just make sure that she's always hitting. Very, very good pickup here. You love to see it. Love to see her named after Stola. Fantastic. This Octomam, we're going to see, for those that maybe don't know all the ins and outs of bosses and their weaknesses and resistances, you may see something very interesting here on BadKarma's side. This Octomam is not going to take as much damage from this Crystal Sword as you would think.
Indeed. There are two bosses that I can think of off the top of my head that you think, oh man, this is great, because I remember them being super weak to Dark Knight Cecil. Paladin Cecil should just make Swiss cheese of these bosses. No, the only way that they coded it so that you can get weak to Shadow Element or the Darkness Element, which is what Dark Knight Cecil's swords do, is if they also made it so that they are resistant to the Holy Weapon, the Holy Element, which is what Cecil's weapons are based, Paladin Cecil's higher tier weapons are based off of. It's always fun when you forget that fact and you start casting white and watch it absorb HP and you just go, all of my work is gone.
Absolutely, yeah. They wanted to make it feel like Dark Knight Cecil was better than he actually was, so they coded in that little trick there. But that's not a trick. That is a Darkness Crystal from Dwarf, and we chatted a bit about this before the restream started. I hate to see that there. I hate now having the decision: do I go to the moon, or do I stick around and clear out Earth? Because at this point for Saradin, all he's got left is he has that Twin Harp, which is required. He doesn't have a good way through it. And then he's got Keyless Tower. He has that Ruby Sprite at the Asira spot. So Saradin might decide if he can find maybe Sirens on the Moon. Maybe he does a grind and goes there. But I expect at the very least we're going to get a character check here. And if you want to be cheeky, go look at Cave Bahamut. Get a boss information. Maybe it's the guards. You'll know right away. And if it's not, maybe it's something else that could be a relatively free fight, and you want to take it to try and gamble for a good item.
Indeed, and to backpack it on the comment that Mechalink, our tracker, has been making in chat, I do agree with that. The fact that if you go and take this Artemis Bow Rosa, she is not quite Burr Cecil levels, but the damage she's going to output if you berserk her with those mute arrows, she's going to almost rival him, and she will not run out of arrows. So she can do a good heaping amount of damage to get you through these fights. And with that wizard armor, I think that resists Undead. It could be very wrong. That's just the white shirt. You could get through and get yourself the objectives that he gets access to. Whereas BadKarma doesn't even have enough experience. It says, I don't have enough XP yet. We're going to do ourselves a trap chest.
Yeah, this is a trap chest you rarely see taken unless you're under K trap. Decides to go for Cecil cover strats here. I definitely think that's a good way through it. If you can get a Quake off with this Quake Kid, that should take it out. And you can get a chance for a potential tier 7 item. Maybe you find an Avenger. Maybe you find a white shirt. Or maybe you find anything else of good value. But at the very least, you're going to get some experience on Rosa. And hey, look, there's some Sirens.
Ooh, that's what you'd love to see. That could actually put Saradin kind of back in this if BadKarma just does XP grinding through, say, trap chests and such like this. But I also see the reasoning why that's not the holy sword we're looking for. That's like 3 steps removed from what you want.
No, you wouldn't even want a crystal sword here because you can't use 2 of them.
Look, I'll dual wield. There's a Cecil here on the moon. I'm calling it right now. Calling my shot.
Okay. If this is on the moon, then you'll take my witch hat from me. We'll just say that.
I've called many a bosses myself. Anyways, so what we have here is just a Moon Yang.
Just a punch mage, free and punch. I think it's free and punch in the chat. Named after Hamon. That makes perfect sense. I'm loving to kind of discover these names because I did miss them at the start. But yeah, so what does Saradin do here? You've got some Sirens. You've got a teleglasses. So taking some King Ryus may not be the best idea here. Gonna go back to the Earth. I have to imagine maybe wants to go do Keyless Tower, or maybe see about doing that Ruby spot, which we're about to find out what it is.
Now, hear me out. You know where your Crystal Sword Cecil is. How about you spend a little bit of your resources to make yourselves a little bit more powerful for further on? What you do is you go pop one of those sirens again, get Yang some levels, berserk them up. That's how you get through both the evil wall and not the evil wall fight. You got 2 Quake kits for that, but you berserk them up and you get through that Valvalis fight because you have something that's going to be able to punch through pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. BadKarma, I'm loving what he's doing here. He's going to Starveil up the Rosa. He's going to cover the Rosa with Cecil, and he's going to be bouncing Fire 2s. He doesn't have access to Fire 3 on these, but still 4k damage coming out from Fire 2s here. It's going to be a bit of a lengthy fight, tossing out the blinks to make sure the kids survive. 4k a pop, you're probably looking at like, 5 Fire 2 casts to hit. Does pull off a swing though, so maybe you want to hit with Ice 2 now.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about that. Not only was that like a low end 3k, high end 3k, that was a 3k cursed Palom as we see there. So he's going to be taking a bit of damage and going to be doing less damage than what is necessary. But yeah, one kid's going to be doing a little bit more than the other. We have enough damage reflected.
There we go. Yep.
Quick, easy kill, showing off the fact that you don't need to go through all the different forms. And let's see if we get ourselves a nice little reward here. That's the big thing here, is how much this is going to pay off.
Oh,
that would have been very useful about 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, but the experience, you got nothing to shake a stick at, and now you can just go take this free fight, get your Legend Sword. You're already down here. You can forge, check the Kakol shop. Maybe you find something like a power shirt for this Cecil, which would be huge. Maybe a Stardust Rod for either of these twins. Yeah, this is going to be very good for BadKarma, where Saradin now, I blinked, and he was through the Valvalis, now onto the evil wall.
Absolutely. Again, the power of just having a single physical attacker on your team. And to answer a question in chat from Nova Asterix, that's what Curse does. It lowers your stats. I want to say, don't quote me on this because I don't know off the top of my head, by 15, the equivalent of what a Cursed Ring does. So it does decrease your stats as an overall. I'm not sure how much it decreases it, but you'll notice like you'll be taking more physical damage. You'll be healing less. You'll be casting your spells for less damage. It's just overall not something you like seeing. You can kind of just like forget it because it doesn't do that much to you overall, but it is one where you will see a noticeable damage decrease.
Yeah, so what it does specifically is it reduces your base strength and defense attributes. It halves them. It does not affect your magic stats. So your mages don't care about curse, but your Cecil going to be doing effectively half damage by having halved strength and taking more from those physical hits. That's why curse, typically we don't care about it, because most of the time it comes up, either you've got a Cecil that's going to burr through something like a Mylon Zed, or you've got casters who just don't care.
Absolutely. And it's the nice thing is you got the simple fact, just that little stuff where if it's a physical character, like you said, you are more worried, quote, than anything else, but not really. BadKarma brute forcing his way through, says, I could wait for this to go the way it should be, or I can just go burr with spells and swords. Gonna get himself that Legend Sword, has himself objective 2 queued up to be able to go, and we're just looking for either that Pink Tail or we're looking for that guards boss fight. We find one of the two of those, and this seed is not long for the world.
Yeah, and with BadKarma now, did BadKarma? Yeah, BadKarma finished off the Dwarf Castle. Has that Darkness Crystal as well. At this point, all he has left on the Earth is that Keyless Tower. You need one key item. If you wanna maybe get an Earth Go mode here, I think you got to take that.
So Karma's got the levels where I would be very tempted to take the moon. As you and I have had the discussion, it's the numbers game versus the waiting game. So you have access to those 7 checks on the moon that you can just go and get done and do that, or you have the chance of a higher weighted chance of a key item because it is part of the K main. So you may think, oh, all trap chest. Oh, can we talk about that Cecil shop though?
Oh my gosh.
Power and Zeus. Yo, let's get ourselves the super burr.
Yeah,
and we also noted we do have a bandana, so we have all the strength gear here.
Yeah, let's dump everything for characters that we're not planning on taking anymore. Absolutely. But yeah, the math says there's 7 key item spots on the moon. You just need 1 key item. But my gut says I need 1 key item. Keyless Tower is a very quick check, especially with this party. If it's the one I need, I don't need to go to the moon, except to maybe grab those sirens.
So another comment from our tracker Mechalink is why are we acting as we're going to keep an edge. To be completely honest, yeah, we got hybrid strats going on here. I would probably dump one of the kids for an edge here. You can get him to 1800 HP, 1900 HP long before these kids are going to get up to about the same amount of HP value. So I don't disagree with keeping weapons in case you're going to find an edge. It will make the last bit of XP until you go and fight Z probably faster. I don't know, Zoe, you know more about this than I do. I just do fake math. I pretend to know what I'm talking about.
I started zoning out as soon as you started doing math.
Look, come on. One of us has got to be the actual professional math doer here, and I only do math when it involves clicky math rocks.
I dropped out of undergrad in math. It's fine. But yeah, no, I would still take an edge at this point. I would drop one of the kids most likely. You've got a Rosa, you've got a Cecil. That's really all you need, especially with that Crystal Sword, to take a low 40s Zeromus fight. If I can avoid having to grind up to nuke on both my kids, I want to avoid that. And an edge will give me more damage in that sort of berserk strategy, especially with Power Shirt Zeus Gauntlet. Like, oh man, that is your Cecil is going to be throwing out like 6,000 damage swings on Zeromus. Edge doing a bit of damage and helping clog the queue be very, very valuable. We know that we have yet to see one, but Zod is still outstanding. The package is still outstanding. Baron Key is still outstanding. The Giant is still outstanding. Though we probably won't see that unless there's a demist there, which is guarding a key item, which then guards either the both the tail and the guards boss.
Yeah, a little bit of discussion going on in chat with Berserk now and our tracker Mechalink about if you see this Yang here. If you're BadKarma, let's put you in the shoes here. Let's put us on the seat right now. You see Yang right here. I personally would look at these palms and go, yeah, I'm going to keep you guys over the Yang because Yang takes a little bit too long now to get online, especially since we're only looking at 7 key items or no 8 key items. Possibility we get it before we go and hit that D lunar spot, but you see this spot, this Yang, especially with these sirens now. Do you take him or do you just leave him there?
If I am below level 30 right now, I take this Yang. I decide to go full in on the Berserk strats and just roll with it. Don't have much money to spend on sirens anymore because you sold the farm for a Power Shirt and a Zeus Gauntlet. But I imagine as soon as he sees that this is not going to be a Moon Cecil, which is probably the reason why he's hanging on to that X-Cal, we'll see that sold shortly after. Those 6 sirens with 10 key items, that's plenty to get anybody up to relatively good levels if you've got if you're going for Berserk strats. But yeah, I probably actually do take this Yang here over a Palom.
So to let you know, the characters I saw on their screen, level 33. So you're in your early 30s. You said before 30. That changes your opinion. You see you're 33 now. What do? Do you take him or do you still stick with that? But we also do have Saradin getting through that Mylon fight with friends, getting himself the adamant, and probably feels a little bit bad about putting this off for so long, but does get that objective, and they're even the score at 3 apiece.
I think I actually still take this because even if I'm not going to level him up to the point where he's going to be throwing out punches that hit for a lot. He's an HP sponge, and I have an Artemis bow for this Rosa. If I end up finding another melee fighter at any point, maybe I just turn Yang to a chemist. But this also ties into my, had I checked Keyless Tower and had go mode, that really would have influenced the decision. Keeping the 2 Paloms to make the moon safer, completely understandable, and would probably beat me in a race.
No, 100%. I absolutely agree. You and I both. That's just how we're doing here. Also, welcome to our Random Mania Raiders. Shh, no spoiling the race you guys were just in. You have found yourselves in the middle of BadKarma and Saradin. We have a very vastly interesting seed. Started off with kids being babysat by an old man. Then we found ourselves a Cecil, got ourselves access to a lovely shop, as you see here. And what you will not see is the crystal sword that is currently equipped. So this is crystal sword Cecil with everything he needs to do 6k plus damage on Zeromus. Let's go.
And question from chat from Ascorian. What was Harp Song? Harp Song was the palace music from Zelda 2, if I'm remembering my Zelda 2 songs correctly. BadKarma, though, going to peek this. Knows Wyverns off the table. Sees a Lunar Sparkle. This could be Plague. This could be D-Lunars. Ogopogo's off the table. It's Plague. This
super free.
Super free. If you want to, you can just start zerking up Cecil, and if you have that Artemis Bow on Rosa, they could probably take it down. If you jam the Q enough, your fighters will not actually die to this count.
So hear me out, and I know this is a very big waste of his abilities. What we do is we take Palom, we zerk one of these Paloms, and then we zerk Rosa, and then have the other one just start launching viruses back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. BadKarma seems to be going with the strategy of, let me just knock down one of my party members, bring him back up with the life, make Plague recast this count. We'll probably do this over and over again. Gonna zerk up Rosa. So yeah, these Paloms are going to be playing ping pong with this Tella, one knocking him down, one bringing him back up until this fight is over.
Yeah, and we have the power couple doing one of the two things they do best. There's two things they do. One is Rosa heals Cecil, and then they just get through Zeromus because that's just how strong he is. And then the other part is where they just both go absolute burr. She's doing about a quarter of the damage he is, to about half with some swings, which is really respectable, to be completely honest. But you just look at this fight, and this isn't going to be very long for the world.
No, not at all. Yeah, Plague being weak to arrows, an Artemis Bow, Rosa with any respectable arrows, going to be doing quite a good chunk of damage. Tella deciding to take himself down this time so the other Palom could throw out a virus. Saradin, though, did stock up on like 20 Sirens on the Moon. Doesn't have 10 key items, but decides, let's go scramble some eggs. The pre-10 key item grind, completely valid. Sometimes you just don't get the key items for it, and you want to dive that moon. I don't hate this. He's going to have the power to take down those moon bosses and make up probably a decent amount of time that he needs, unless Karma finds relatively easy fights, lands in 10 key items, and has a shorter grind. It's a gamble.
Absolutely. And this is where you get to the point where it's like, hey, what time am I going to save getting some chunk of levels up there versus going anywhere else? A Moon Veil from the Moon, very thematic. The levels are probably the best thing he's got out of that, so he doesn't have to worry about all the Sirens that are out there. But this is where you start seeing is like, my team is X powerful, I can do Y bosses. So it's where do you start going? But yeah, with the 10 key items and you're starting to like run out of checks, it's like, oh, there's 7 checks on the moon. 100% I'm going to find myself my 2 key items. Let me show you what key items we do not have lit up. We don't have Earth Crystal. We don't have Tower Key. We don't have Luca Key. We don't have Baron Key. And we don't have the Rat Tail. Every one of those is a chain. And I have seen in this so far tournament, there has been one that was exactly a chain to get to the key items at the end that we needed. So this moon could be only having the value of one single key item, or in theory, this moon could have nothing at all because we still have Keyless Tower to get Vanilla Tower Key, to get Baron, which could give us Earth Crystal and Rat Tail, which could get less Luca and get us everything else. There's so many things here. This is about the point where you just say, let's face check some bosses over anything else.
Yeah, going top down here, knows he needs 1 key item or 1 boss. More efficient, even though you have a pass in hand. If you find, your pink tail or your officers your guards right here, you're done. You're good to go. Figure out how to grind and go beat up Zeromus. This is very typical routing. Mom Bomb here. Hey, you just got a Moon Veil. Moon Veil here kind of makes this free. I was going to mention that Moon Veil may seem underwhelming, may seem like a womp from that Plague fight, but if you run into something like a Mom Bomb or an Ant Lion up here on the moon, that Moon Veil can turn that fight to free. Even a D-Mist, while it will be slow, it only punches. Moon Veil puts up the barrier status for the rest of that fight. You are not going to be taking any physical damage from physical swing.
Yeah, and we do have a point out again from Mecha Tracker doing a fantastic job keeping everything lit up so we can just kind of spout some stuff here. D-Mist is still out in the wild. Could be here on the moon, or we could have, again, Baron lock so many different things. There's so many places where everything could be hidden. Or, as we've again seen rolled by multiple different people, we could see the fact that Odin, not Odin, the Maga Sister spot, which has been full access the entire time, could have the guards boss right here. So there is the possibility that a free fight is just sitting and waiting for us that we could have gone this entire time. And we won't see it's about an hour and a half in.
And there's a rat tail. You are doing top down. You need one key item. I think you have to save scum this here. You exit out, you leave a save in front of the LST, you go down, turn this in, and see if it's your pink tail, or see if it is a chained item. So like an Earth Crystal, Baron Key, Tower Key, Luke Key. Because the typical, most runners like to go bottom up because there's the ribbon room where you have 2 key items instead. Top down can in itself be considered a gamble. And if you get something from a gamble, you've got to push it.
And so we have a question from Slack in chat. Which of the objectives are fixed and which are random? The top 3 objectives: Cave Magnus, Kokol Forge, Legend Sword of Adamant to make the Excalibur, and Trading with a Pinktail. Those will always be the static objectives for every single race for this tournament. The bottom 2 are only throughout character and boss hunts. So this is where we're kind of doing a bit more scavenger hunty than what we have access to in some of the other seats that we have. So those last 2 are going to be the ones that we start looking around for everything else. But BadKarma, as you said, come down, take the save scum. 100% agree with this. This is going to be something you just check and go, what is here? If it's something you follow,
there we go.
Wow, and I love this interaction. Just let this play out. I love this so much.
This is so good. You get a pink tail from the rat tail, and the leader of the Adamant Cave goes, "Oh wait, give me that back. Here," and we'll hand you a tier 7 item. But not before handing the crystal. Save scum pays off. Going top down pays off. We don't know where the Baron guards are. We have a Dragoon Spear. We don't care. We have a crystal. Now we just need a few more levels. And BadKarma is in very, very good position to stay alive in this tournament and live to see a win and you're in race in week 6.
Absolutely. So this is where there's a whole, I think he had already bought his sirens, so he can just go down and grind some eggs. The only problem is this is the second worst feeling. You are sitting at, I believe that is that's actually his 10th key item too. So that gives him the double XP. Who I was thinking was like, he's at 9 key items, isn't he? No, the rat tail gave him that. Yeah,
the crystal,
pink and crystal, exactly though.
Exactly. The crystal has bitten me once or twice before, forgetting that the crystal does count as a key item when it comes to calculating for 10 key items. So now we'll be getting double experience from these eggs. Instead of 34,000, 68,000 experience. Has bought 6 sirens on the moon, I believe. That is going to be enough experience to get this Rosa and Cecil into the low 40s, and that is about all you really, really need. As long as he did save a lunar staff, I was about to say, as long as he saves something in the form of a white mage weapon for this Rosa.
So hear me out here. If this boss up here is exactly guards, we get Tower Key, and then Tower Key gives us another key item. That means Saradin will also be. Oh no, it's a free fight up here. This could still give us the Tower Key again. Still give us Tower Key into guards and into another key item. We could have ourselves a spicy little race here. By the simple fact that both of them will be 10 go mode. Both of them will have 10 key items. So it's going to be very, very close in that aspect that we could have like one hot on the other's heels. Saradin is not quite out of this race yet, even though it looks like BadKarma is in a very commanding lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Saradin needs this to be, as you said, pretty much exactly Tower Key. And with the guards there in the Super Cannon room to really pull back into this race. BadKarma is well underway with his grind, about to wrap it up. I think he only has a couple sirens left here, 3 sirens left. His race is not over, but Saradin is probably on the ropes at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. This is very tight, and it's actually, again, the freeness of this up here kind of makes it so that there is it's a Baron key. That is something you can chase, because we do know that's an Odin, which is a very free fight with what we have here, and opening up 2 more boss checks outside of that and 2 more key item checks. So much, because we know where the Pinktail's hiding. Saradin unfortunately does not. So there's so much that is open and so much that is available, because he has the moon, he has Baron. It's just, we know where to go. This is the problem with us being in no mode, and we're just like, oh, this is a bad call. But it's not a bad call with the information that Saradin has. The Earth is a much easier place to check, and again, with the K main having a higher weighting of key items, it is smarter percentage-wise to be down here on Earth.
Absolutely, and I imagine we'll see straight to Baron, because, as mentioned earlier, the keyless tower is a gamble. And if you pull something from a gamble, if you are committed, you follow through with that gamble. Otherwise, you've just burned a bit of time. So I expect to see him go straight for Baron Castle, maybe try and, for his knowledge, pull out a cheeky Pinktail or find Baron guards on the throne. And it appears that's exactly what he's going to do. But BadKarma is in Troya with a pass in hand, is going to be turning that in and
No way.
unlocking.
No way.
No way. Oh man. Okay.
Let me just check this armor shop real quick. Hey, cursed ring, never punished. How do you just how do you luck into that, man? And a dragoon armor too. Like, seriously, come on. Like, what do you do here?
Yeah, had no shield for Cecil. Found a dragoon shield there, but yeah, you check that armor shop for exactly one reason, which is my Tela has too much agility. I need a cursed ring to get to the agility setup I want. Let me just check this while I'm here. Oh, hey, look, cursed ring, super luck, super good for BadKarma. As I said, going to be turning in this pass, going to take this teleport. It's not going to take you where you thought if you were expecting something from vanilla here. We're going to end up right at Zeromus. And Dathis, you let off this restream. I think you should also ask the question.
Absolutely. So the question is from chat. No, we'll get into the curse ring question later. So Zeromus, we randomize a whole lot of things here. We randomize boss locations, we randomize the harps. As you've seen, we've also randomized the sprites of the characters. So the one thing we do is we leave one boss at the end because it's that nice climactic battle against the true evil of the seed. However, we can't just leave Zeromus in his vanilla spot without a little touch of something else. So between Scala, Board AI, and a whole bunch of 526 different sprites out there, we have to ask ourselves, what form are we going to have of Zeromus, and whose Tuckus is going to be getting the boot off the moon tonight? And with this squad here, it is going to be a very, very one-sided fight. You have a 2800 HP Cecil. Rose's HP is a little low in the sense that she's got sub 2k HP. However, there is the fact that she does have pretty decent white magic stats, so she can be okay in that aspect. But it's still, she has the chance to roll a very high big bang and get put down. So it's still not a like, oh, this is just easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. You can't cover here, so you can't save that HP from her. She's just going to be taking those big bangs. You nerf them where you effectively half the spell power, where he can do up to about 8,000 or 800 to 1,000. What is this?
Scala, explain.
Help me.
Oh, it's Lord English.
Ah, yes, Lord English.
Oh my gosh, Scala.
This is wow is all I gotta really say here. This is one of Scala's Kitty's great works. I'm assuming this one is a Scala one. There has been some again done by Board AI, which are great.
I love that you just called him Board AI.
Look, I'll always call him Board AI. That is a very bad target for that counter nuke to hit on that the kid, but he does take it like a champ, can get healed. Rose is like, nah, we're gonna let him take down.
Yeah. Also, River's pointing out we forgot the real question: is Z cute?
Look at that blush. How can you not see?
Yeah. This is absolutely one of the top 10 cutest. Hey, speaking of a white shirt, it's in the Baron pot. Not what Saradin wanted, but BadKarma could use that right now. a nearly 2,000 hit point Rosa without a white shirt, but does have a lunar staff. While she is still susceptible to a high roll Big Bang, this fight is safe enough to where I consider it a relatively straightforward Zeromus fight. While we see how this Big Bang goes, I do want to not forget that we were asked about what the Cursed Ring does. The Cursed Ring gives a minus 15 to Strength, Agility, Wisdom, and Will, and also Vitality, I believe. And the important part of that is the minus 15 to Agility. Agility in Final Fantasy IV works in a very weird way compared to what you may be used to from modern JRPGs. So giving low agility to what we call the anchor location, being the middle location here, will make every character as fast as possible, including Zeromus, which you may think is bad, but when you're getting 4 turns to every one of Zeromus's, it actually works in your favor.
I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out. All I heard was a whole bunch of witchcraft after you said agility. I don't understand it. It's not an actual thing. Anyone
I was speaking.
it is either Simbu or wrong.
I was speaking in tongues. It's fine.
Ooh, that's another rabbit hole from Baron, though. Saradin honestly just finding where all these key items are. Remember when I said that Baron could just be like full of everything to trap you away? Baron Key is in fact leading Saradin away from the moon, which is unfortunate for us knowledge here. But as we were saying on Rosa's side, you said it's very free. Yes, it is a very low chance of her taking that big bang, that high roll Big Bang, especially if he wants to nuke. But you see the damage that can come out there. 1800 on the Quack Kid. Yeah, he's a lower level and he's sitting at 1600. But this is essentially the party I saw at the end. We have ourselves Cecil. We have ourselves Rosa. Cecil's popping out, as you said, 6k damage a hit. Get that Berserk back on him. Just go, man. Just make it happen.
Absolutely. And I find it funny that the power couple both took the same damage from that Big Bang, 15-12. Always fun little idiosyncrasies that, there's a word I tried to say there, that happen while playing for Enterprise. But yeah, assuming that either this Cecil can push past the next Big Bang straight into Rock's phase, or Rosa takes another relatively low to medium roll, we should be seeing a finish here in the next moments. Oh yeah, there's Rock's. 1 or 2 more swings from Cecil, and this will be done.
Exactly. Burr Mage go Burr. We're going to see the 5k. Is what, 10k here? Yeah, 4k and a 6k hit. That's
there we go.
No flash, but the crack, bang, boom. Englishmas is falling his way down, maybe falling to the deep ravine. But we do have BadKarma not only in the booth for an interview, but also progressing to 3-2 into that lovely play-ins. And his chances are still alive, whereas Saradin's are unfortunately down here in Luca Cave with maybe hopefully some value, but unfortunately not progressing. But as I said, we are joined by BadKarma. GG's, my friend. Well-raced run.
Ooh, man. So I popped in and it was amazing to hear you guys saying my thoughts 15 minutes ago. Like exactly dead on exactly what I was thinking.
Wait, we're just seeing this now. You're saying this race isn't live? Are you a witch? Are you a time traveler? Tell me what the lottery numbers are.
7.
Ooh, it's a good number. It's bold of you to expect me to remember anything I said 15 minutes ago, so could you elucidate me?
Oh, so getting that rat tail. I since I was going top down, I was like, well, I'm not going any further. I'm going to exit anyway. Let's check it. Let's save scum it just in case. And as soon as I got that panic set in, I was like, oh my god. Because I could have done that, right after Dwarf, and doing Fey March instead. So yeah, that was a little nerve wracking. And then it's like, do I have enough sirens? Because I spent all my money when I bought those.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely played this very, very well. Won 114.44. Great time in this flag set for something that I wouldn't even necessarily call a jet seed. Crystal Sword Cecil obviously speeds up seeds considerably, but still very well run, very well routed. What are your thoughts, especially like you get that Crystal Sword early, and I don't think you had even seen the fact that there was a Cecil and Baron in yet. What do you think walking into that Baron in, seeing Cecil guarded by a Valvalis?
I thought, can I cast magic on this Valvalis? Quickly found the answer to that was no. And I was like, do I have anything agility-wise? I had gotten that Artemis bow from Sheila 1, so I was like, okay, maybe I can get Palom fast enough to get a virus off, because even a virus with an arms bow should do about 400 damage ish, and that didn't work either. And then I saw him do 100 damage with an arrow. I was like, okay, let's zerk him up and let him go. And man, that kid misses a lot with a bow.
It's not necessarily his fault. Valvalis does get those fizz evades, but it's funny you mentioned saying what you were thinking 15 minutes ago, because I said the exact same thing. Maybe toss the armor bow, see if you get a virus off. Obviously didn't work, but glad to know that our brains are working the same, just 15 minutes apart.
Hey, if I can channel Zoe Vermilion in a race, because you've been racing very excellently, I'm happy with that. So I was nervous coming into this one. My record being 3-2, you know, I did have a bye, but like, and then I lost 2 in a row. So I was like, okay, well, something needs to change here.
Well, hey, there was a second Cecil in this seed.
Oh, hey.
Guarded by wherever the Earth Crystal was, and if that's further down the moon, that's a little unfortunate. Anyways, so we're gonna go back to the Valvalis fight. Like you said, you've got yourselves the bow and arrow. The unfortunate problem, and quote problem, because you made it through there still easily. You're one of the people. I've done this myself. Is that Palom is reverse-handed from everyone else? Yeah, you're doing a little bit less damage. Could have got there faster, but still really well raced. So, what drove you to do that Val as opposed to just be like, you know what, we're gonna come and do this later? What pushed you to get through her for that Cecil versus say going anywhere else?
Because I knew my next stop was Ordeals. Especially having a crystal sword, you gotta find a way to get that. That just made the siege so much easier, because I had a route in my head that got completely ruined getting the pan on Ordeals. But I was gonna do Baron, Ordeals, into Dwarf into that free Fey March, and yeah, didn't get in the pan. I was like, well, I better do Twin Harp and ruin this whole thing. So, but yeah, it was like this whole thing really hinges on getting the Cecil, getting up Ordeals. I've got Quake Kids to get through Ordeals. That won't be an issue. So just wanted to have him available. I didn't think that the Ordeals experience was going to get me through that Val any faster.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. If I have a crystal sword in hand and I see that Cecil even guarded by a Val, I have to think, I have to get through this. There's no other option for me right now. So I definitely agree with finding any way you can to push through it. And it served you very well. I just want to pause real quick and just point out what's happening on Saradin's side here. Did get the Luca key from top of tower, found Rubicant in the sealed cave, and then found tower key there as well. So that tower required Keyless Tower to get into the tower key room. We'll see if this pays off in the form of something that gets him towards the Baron guards. But that's a very trolly tower key location.
Also want to talk about the simple fact that Rubicante in that Evil Wall spot, you saw how much those...
that spot is nasty for Ruby.
That is really high magic, because Crush is based on magic damage, and that is not something you want to see, so it is not really fun.
Yeah, the Crush as well as the Petrify counters are the main reason, because you need the script needs those to land for the fight to work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and I'm seeing in chat from Wolf Kupo that Baron was top of tower. I'm really glad I did not do.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. It was Baron top of tower into Luca from
Odin.
At Odin spot into tower key. Yeah, sorry, I skipped a couple very important steps there. Yeah, just a full disclosure, had we been racing here, BadKarma, you would have beaten me handily, because I'd be doing what Saradin's doing, because I'm on Team Nevermoon.
Yeah, if I had done Keyless Tower and got that Baron key, I would be right where Saradin is right now too. I am actually on team always Baron. Unfortunately, this seed not true, but I've seen enough races on here where Baron Castle has had at least one path to objective.
Yeah, I believe it was it was in my race with Saradin, my race with Locke, where Baron had a required Twin Harp, because Twin Harp led to Pink Tail. So Baron, very, very spicy check in these flags. Saradin is going to go to the moon, though. But that chain, that very long chain starting at Keyless Tower, only ends in a defense sword. There was also a white shirt in the Baron pod. So huge womp. Had Saradin not already lost at this point, would probably be feeling majorly behind. But I want to pivot away from this seed and ask you, going into next week, it is week 6 of Swiss. It's the last week. You're going to be going up against a 3-2 opponent. In all likelihood, I think I've run the math. I don't think there's going to be a chance for a pair down. Tie is notwithstanding. How are you feeling about your chances? How are you feeling about the other people that you're starting to see trickle in to that 3-2 pool looking to win effectively a play-in race. You win, you're in. You lose, you go home.
Oh man, everybody has been racing fantastically in this. I'm scared. I'm scared of anybody I'm gonna get paired up with next week. Part of me almost wishes I would have lost this week because the nerves will be extremely high. But no, everybody's been great. I do not look forward to racing anybody next week, honestly.
Yeah. All of the pools in this tournament, all the way up. You've got your 5-0s right now. You've got your 4-1s, your 3-2s. Everything is just, it looks dangerous. I don't look at any of my prospective opponents and think I can win that. I think I'm gonna need some help to win that.
Yeah, and I've honestly felt that way for the last couple of weeks. I had a race. I'm not gonna tell you which one. I lost by 9 seconds. So I mean, anything can happen with these races, and Rando's gonna rando to all of us. But like I said, everybody's been racing fantastically. It's been great to watch these matches, commentate these matches, and just to see all the little tricks everybody's picking up and using from watching everybody else. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back, and we're going to go back and talk about that keyless tower check. So the odds, that there's a higher density but a higher percentage here on Earth versus the density on the moon. What pushed you more towards the moon versus checking the tower versus even going anywhere else? Like, why was okay, I see that moon, I gotta go.
I'm not a fan of keyless tower. That's the short version. Zoe mentioned, Ve'll lose if it's on the moon. I'll lose if it's keyless tower because I am not a fan of making that walk all the way up and it having something and having to walk all the way back down. So yeah, it's just that was a big point of it, and I was just hoping to either start just checking bosses or get a key item, and the most density was the moon.
What if I told you that if you take keyless tower and find a tower key later, you're only losing less than a minute and a half for the travel time to have to walk the bottom half of the tower twice?
I mean, I've never timed it, but that does change the math a little bit.
Yeah, it's a minute and 10 seconds is the only bit that you're really losing because you have to walk up to the mid tower and back down twice. Everything else you only have to do once. So only a minute and 10 second time loss with optimal.
Oh man, that's well, it's a good thing I didn't know that about 30 minutes ago.
All right, so let's go back again more towards the beginning of the seed, because this is where all the groundwork for pretty much how you got through it really happened. So we have ourselves an old man babysitting a kid, babysitting a couple of kids, and then we see another kid sitting up on Mount Ordeals, and we have it in Mount Hobbs, and we have Rydia. You see that and you go, nah, I'm completely done with this. You get yourself the Star Veil from Antline. Did you ever think to go back and get that Rydia? Maybe it's say, hey, you know what? I can do this fight. I can get her online around the same time as this Paladin Porum, maybe. What drew you from there to the rest of your team building, and then to eventually the hook route?
I'm actually a big fan of Rydia. I like Rydia's utility. I wasn't going to go through and burn a Star Veil to get through that Wyvern. That was just, it was too early to do that. And also, may have needed an anchor later. So I was kind of thinking of that as well. And once I got that second Palom in the hook route from Fabul, my mind was made up. I probably wasn't going back to Hobbs. I was going to try and keep Tella down a little while, which I did not do a very good job of. So once I got the second Palom, that really sealed the deal on. Unfortunately, we weren't going to see Rydia.
But it's okay. You left him up, and you got, the most swaggy curse ring I think we've seen. Zoe and I were both just like, are you kidding me? What is this? One armor shop check, and here's a curse ring and a shield. How did you feel walking into Troy and going, oh, hey, look, for me?
So I was not going into that armor shop looking for a curse ring. I was looking actually for a guy hat to try and buff Rosa a little bit more. Just getting the curse ring and the Dragoon shield, though, that was like, I better start selling some more things then.
See, this is what happens when you can luck into something. They say rando's gonna rando. This is just absolutely incredible, and it's really great to hear that mindset and to see you kind of give us that out. Speaking of, we do also have Saradin doing the same thing you did. Gets that rat tail after getting a really quick mom bomb fight, and is gonna save Scum. Gonna find out the good news that it's gonna be the last objective. So, on his way to go mode, 100% right behind you.
That's awesome. Let's see. He's, from what I've seen, of here doing the interview and stuff, one check, and unfortunately for the last couple months, I've lost, I don't know how many races just due to a 50-50 check. And I just happened to make the right one today. So it's great to move on, but at the same time, I could be seeing myself, this could have been, seconds apart. We would have been neck and neck, I think, going through this.
Yeah, speaking of 50-50 checks, because it does come down to a lot of that in Great Enterprise. These objectives, though, there was no 50-50 there. You saw that blue guard sprite. You knew you had value. What did you think when you first booted up the seed and saw those were your 2 random objectives?
I don't like boss hunts.
Not even when they're free.
Not even when they're free, because that makes it even worse. Because you either find them super early and now you're just on key item check, or they're late in the seed and they're at the bottom of the moon or in the giant.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you at least slightly there. If it's free boss hunt, then any potential weird gamble could lose you the race, because if, say, Saradin had gone to giant, say that's where the Baron guards are, that's not only a huge infusion of experience, that's also an objective, and there's no struggle to get through that fight. A couple coffins and you get through it. Whereas if it was you were hunting, say, like a wyvern, then it's not nearly as free. So I can definitely see that logic there. I personally also don't like boss hunts. Give me 2 character hunts over boss hunts any day, because it just falls into my key item routing. But it made for an interesting seed, because you found that officer right off the bat, right there in Antlion. And so I guess there was just a cloud of, does my opponent stumble into the officer fight? I had to imagine was just looming over your head.
Oh yeah, and that was actually the thing. I resisted the urge to kind of veer towards the tower, because I was like, I should at least face check it. I wasn't going to plan to fight it, but I was going to at least face check it. And I steered away. I was like, nope, if it's there, we're going to lose. So we're going to the moon.
Yeah, and that moon call definitely paid off the check there. We do see that there was a second Cecil sitting away in Zod, as we said. Earth Crystal sitting at Ogopogo. You definitely, even if you get it, you're not going to get that Cecil up very high. Well, then again, the next Cal Cecil with like 1800 HP is more than enough. But yeah, so 13 key items done, 14 including the past, 1 hour, 14 minutes, 44 seconds. Again, not a jet seed by any means, but you made it. You put on a fairly good clinic for putting through this seed. And I want to absolutely thank you. So do you have any other questions for BadKarma?
No more questions. I just want to touch on that to finish time one more time. 114.44 in this flag set. My current fastest seed was a 112.59, and I had go mode before diving my hook route to actually turn in my my forge. So this is an incredibly impressive time, considering how much of the seed you actually ended up needing to do. So my hat off to you. I wish you the best of luck next week. I don't want to see you in brackets. I would rather us be on completely separate sides, and if we have to meet up, let's put it in the finals.
I agree. I don't want to get paired up with you either. You've been running fantastically. Before I go, I do want to say thank you to Restream Team, Dath and Zoe for doing the talking. I look forward to watching this one back. Neobari for rolling this fine seed. Mechalink, hopefully I gave you enough buttons for you to light up. So, but thank you for everything you guys do. The Restream team is awesome. Admin team, thank you for putting on this event. You guys are great as well.
All right. Well, thanks so much, BadKarma. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening and gear up for next week. Saradin, though, has completed his grind, is going to be heading in to fight his Lord Englishmus, and we'll soon be getting a dot done from him, I'd have to imagine. And yeah, we will see how this plays out with his party. He has a bit more in the way of good equipment, has that white shirt for Rosa. It looks like he sold all of his good white mage staves. So yeah, keep that elven bow on her.
Yeah, and this is the point where it's like you see those sirens, you had to buy some stuff, maybe bought himself the power ring, the power shirt as well. It's the whole little gamble. It's like, oh, I don't need this now, and then it's like, oh wait, I do actually need this. But again, the white shirt kind of makes up for it, so you're sitting about pretty. Also has 300 more HP. This is like as safe of a Zeroma's fight-ish as you're gonna get, because you're gonna have nukes bouncing around, you're gonna have all the counters taken care of. It's gonna and look, and Saradin does the exact same thing I do every single time. I'm like, oh, gotta go to Troya, and then I go into the castle. I'm like, this is the wrong spot. Please. This is the town, not the castle. But as I was saying, probably the only way this could be safer would be if those kids had 2,000 plus HP. But this is about as safe as a very average Zeroma's fight is gonna be getting you.
Yeah, this is a party that is very well geared up for what we call unicorn strats, which we don't see nearly as often as I would like. You've got 2 nukers, you've got a crystal sword Cecil. You could very easily send the Cecil off to deal some very early damage, get a couple of nukes off, and then use a unicorn to turn off Cecil's berserk and finish it off with a few reflected nukes. It would be very, very speedy. But I imagine that we're either going to see one of 2 routes here. We're either going to see pure reflect with Cecil not doing anything, or a hybrid strat where you just berserk up the Cecil and start reflecting nukes. And if the kids go down, the kids go down. Cecil finishes it off.
So you say unicorn strats. There's also another way of getting through it if you want to be.
If you want to be Morpheus, you could toss a moon veil off of your veiled character and make it so Cecil can't even hit Zeromus.
Wait, you could do that? Oh my lord, I didn't even think about that. No, I was gonna say you could just cast stop on Cecil. I didn't even think about the Moonveil strats. That's great.
The Moonveil strats are fantastic. I saw Morpheus do them in a community race, and it was one of the very first things I practiced for this tournament, just in case it ever came up. But yes, Moonveil strats are like a variant of the Unicorn strat. But yeah, you can cast stop, you can cast nuke onto your Cecil, knock him out that way. I just like to maybe preserve my my nuke turns if I'm going to go that route, which is why Unicorn is usually my preferred, because you could just use that with Rosa and keep nuking.
Absolutely, but as you say, sometimes we don't see unicorns or something along those lines, so it's just like you kind of go with what you can. But at that point, I almost wonder is if the HP tip versus the amount of damage Cecil puts out, it loses you what, probably about maybe a minute or so if you continue to go full hybrid.
Yeah, maybe that much. And if it's a race you've already lost, I think you just finish out the way that you're most comfortable with here. You don't want to try and go too cheeky with the optimization. At this point, you kind of just want the seed to be done. So I imagine we'll just see full-on hybrid strats here. Tossing out the Silk Web, going to not only slow Zeromus down to make it so you can get off more actions, but also nerf the first Big Bang. Rosa taking that direct nuke, but she took it like a champ. Just got to get her up. Maybe you use that free elixir that you start off with this flag set, just to get her back up and topped off.
Absolutely. But there's so many ways of doing this, and this also just shows the fact of the constitution of Saradin here. It's you see that dot done, you could just be done at it. By the way, 7,300. Jesus.
Oh, good gosh.
That's not right. Well, so long, Rosa. I'll miss you. There's so many, there's no shame in FFing. It's like, okay, I lost this, no big deal. But there are times where just like, I've got through the seed, I've done this much. Let's just go and let's finish it off and do it the way that we want to finish it out. Because there's no shame in forfeiting that mental. You're just like, you know what, I lost. That's cool. But finishing at a seed, mostly a matter of pride for a lot of runners. And again, Saradin really did run this seed very well. This is he was basically caught with rando gonna rando is the story of how this seed split up and how BadKarma got like what seems like it's a 22-minute, maybe about 25 in the end minute difference in time. But that just shows that one key item check and one location can just domino into wrong check after wrong check. And again, I say wrong in the sense of this is the foreknowledge that we have. We know this isn't leading anywhere currently because we still don't know where those guards are. It's still just that one bad location can just spiral, especially with so many key items that we have out in the wild, that we still have out in the wild too. We still have the Earth Crystal hiding, which is on Ogopodo.
Yeah, absolutely. This type of seed, um, depending on it really would depend on like how tired I am and how how well I feel I played the seed, whether or not I would finish it out. So Saradin finishing off the seed, even though this is the end of his Lali-Ho run, he will still be able to play a race next week against another 2 and 3 player. But that is purely at that point just an exhibition match. But he played a very, very good tournament. It's anybody to this point who has been eliminated. I feel like everyone has just run into the wood chipper. This tournament had originally 107 entrants, and I would say there were 107 good racers.
Absolutely. You say it's like, oh man, these runners like these are statistically better here, or this is this here. Every one of these runners, every one of you guys put on a wonderful show and just show many different strategies. We've seen reflex strats, we've seen eddy strats, we've seen 1200 HP strats, we've seen Meteo strats as we're going on here. And wow, everybody was dodging. That is super lucky here. But yeah, it's everyone has kind of brought their own little flavor back and forth. And speaking of a little bit of back and forth, we got a back and forth shake from Zeromas, 138.21, a really good time considering that is a 14 out of 17 seed. Get your GGs out in chat for Saradin, who we are in fact joined by in the booth. GGs against Saradin. Well run race considering you found every single rabbit hole.
Yeah, that was an awkward seed in a few different ways.
Yeah, you played it well though. As Dappa said, 138.21, especially for a 14 out of 17. That is a very good time. Got a little bit randoed there. BadKarma decided to not do the keyless tower, went to the moon, got that rat tail, whereas you followed that keyless tower into Baron, into sealed cave, back to tower, and then got a defense sword. Overall though, what were your thoughts about this seed and how you played? Because I'm up here in the booth, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I definitely made a few mistakes. Like I reset out of Palom in Eblin Cave and then ended up going back to get him anyway. I was just kind of frustrated. Like I knew I had the Cecil with the Crystal Sword available behind Valvalus, and the second Palom isn't going to help me really get through that. So should have just grabbed him at that point anyway, just to have another character. Also wasn't really sure when I was going to be able to kill that Valvalus. Rosa ended up getting a shot off with an arty bow probably about, I think it was like 45 minutes in, and I'm not sure if I could have done it sooner. But yeah, that was a little a little awkward as well.
Yeah,
we'll leave that spoiler for you if you want to go back and rewatch the VOD, which I highly suggest you do because it was a great match for both sides. You'll see when BadKarma got through that Valvalus, and the arty bow does in fact play a little bit of help there. But as you were saying, getting that second Palom, you got the hook from Fabul, and you kind of put off checking even the character there for a hot minute. What drove you away from checking the character versus just running up ordeals like what you did earlier on?
I thought I had to check the character there pretty quickly after getting the hook, but maybe I'm misremembering. Brain was a little scrambled for a bit there. I was intending to reset out of one of the checks I did and ended up resetting my tracker by accident instead. So I was kind of scrambling to try and fix that.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So fortunately, it was early on, so I didn't have a ton of things to reset, but that definitely threw me off for a bit there.
Yeah, that just goes to show you the fact that there's so many things that can happen. One little thing can spiral into so many different decision making, and just like reset how you're even playing throughout the rest of the seed too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, near the end there with the with the rabbit holing, I felt kind of behind the entire way. So it's basically just like, I'm gonna follow these chains and hope they give something, because if I just go to Moon and check that, then I'm not winning this.
Yeah, which again, that shows that it's not a bad check in the first place, is because you don't know where everything is, right? And with the knowledge we had, it was better for you to have checked the Moon. However, you did follow through with all the checks that you had access to. You saw that ruby at Evil Wall. We touched on that a little bit during our interview with BadKarma because you were in the middle of it. You see Conte there after getting that key. What was your thoughts when you saw that, and after watching that about 8200-ish glare come out at your party?
I wasn't really worried at that point. Like, you still got Crystal Sword Cecil So as long as I can keep him up, it's fine. And Ruby's not gonna do too much other than the glares. So it wasn't too worried about that. It just would have been nice if the item there wasn't something I felt I had to walk out.
And there were a lot of items you had to walk out. You got the Baron key from the top of tower. You got the Luca key from Odin Basement, and then you get the tower key from Luca Cave. How when you start following these chains, like you said, you kind of like were committed to this. Was there any time during part of this chain where you're like, what if I dip now? What was your thought? Like, was there any other time you wanted to just like disappear?
No, not really. Like I said, delaying that Cecil until like 45 minutes. Just from there on, I felt like I was pretty far behind. That I could have gotten him earlier, and that BadKarma probably did get him earlier. So, and having him with the Crystal Sword early just kind of makes everything much easier. It's possible I ended up taking that King Queen Evelyn fight at Leviathan just for experience, and it's possible I should have done that earlier when I was down there in the first place. I was just hoping to grab some more characters before doing it. But yeah, that might have changed a few things.
Yeah, this is one thing like back and forth. Zoe and I were actually talking about that the second we saw that. It's like, you take this fight, you can do this, but is it worth it to save now? Do you save for experience when you get your full party? Give them a nice little infusion after the egg that you can really crack from that free siren. Like it's a whole bunch of like little micro decisions, which again, none of them are wrong. It's just which is more at the time. And again, it led to your harp, which gave you a big advantage, gave everyone like that whole, oh man, this is what you need to do, as opposed to everyone who just fade Feymarch, which a free fight like that you don't really fade. But yeah, you did really well considering. I think you took that fight with 3 characters, Pormpalum and Tella, but it's really interesting to see just the decision making and where you go in the routes. So 2 and 3, Zoe helped me out here. I believe mathematically eliminated from.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Mathematically eliminated. Are you? I know. How do you feel about going into the last round for Pride? Are you going to do some really crazy strats and like practice some random things, or are you just going to play it the methodical way you've been doing it so far?
I don't think we're going to change things up too much. I do feel like I've gotten better at these seeds over the course of the tournament and just doing some practices. Have broken myself of a few bad habits. I was oversaving a lot in earlier rounds. But yeah.
2 and 3, totally, I would say not indicative of your skills. The race between us was really close, and I mentioned it during the broadcast. If you do watch this back, that I definitely feel like I stole that one from you. It was very, very good race. You're a great racer, and I look forward to in the off season, if you want to join in some community races, or even for the next tournament, I look forward to maybe getting a rematch with you. This was fantastic. You played fantastically this evening, and Dathis has covered pretty much anything that I would want to cover. So unless either of you have any final thoughts, I think there's another race that's like booting up or going on that we're gonna go say hi to.
I think I'm good.
No, again, thank you very much, Saradin. Again, well raced, 138.21. Nothing really to say much more than that. But yeah, as Zoe mentioned, we are in fact going to fight Flurry and Zilch for a race over on Randomania 4. Please do not spoil the race that you just saw here. There will be many bonkings happen from the admin, and please don't take the bonks. I get enough from it from the newspaper. Those do hurt.
Yeah, no spoils, please. And if you want to, we will be back tomorrow. We still have more of this week 5. I think we know where we're going, but if you want to, join the Discord, check the Lali-Ho Matches channel. I'm not going to keep you all for much longer. Have a good evening and enjoy this very spicy race between Flurry and Phil.